Hello, everybody, and welcome to our presentation for our paper Cybersecurity for Children, an investigation into the application of social media. So, in the study, we assess the security and privacy aspects of the social media platform from a cybersecurity point of view, whilst having a primarily focus on hacking and hackers. We analyze various unique motivations of hackers and demonstrate the mindset of why hackers would want to target and attack social media platforms. We evaluate social media as a platform and discuss its risks for attacks and mitigations. And we aim to further understand the causes behind the hackers' behavior and provide guidance to develop effective countermeasures by studying the causes and consequences of security, privacy, and hacking in social media. We use the PRISMA, so the Preferred Reporting Items for Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis framework, to report on the literature review focused on cybersecurity for children using social media, and we also highlight research challenges that need to be addressed in the future. So we use the PRISMA protocol to ensure an objective and comprehensive literature search is being performed. So if we look at Statista, based on the report in 2021, there are 53 million active social media accounts in the UK alone, and the total number of social media users worldwide was 3.6 billion in the year of 2020. In 2021, it has increased to 4.66 billion, and figure 1 shows that Facebook has the highest number of active users with 2.895 million accounts, followed by YouTube at 2.291 million active users. It follows direct messaging platforms, including WhatsApp, Messenger, WeChat, etc., in this order. So we can see Facebook has the most users. And as we go down, we have YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, and it goes all the way down to Snapchat, Twitter, Reddit, and we can see the numbers decline. So Facebook being the most actively used one, which doesn't necessarily come as a surprise based on the fact that most people in our lives day to day we associate with having some sort of Facebook presence. So if we look at the history and overview of social media, so social media has become a deep-rooted part of our daily lives. It started in the late 1990s and began to take shape in the early 2000s. So figure 2 briefly introduces the development timeline of social media. So we can see it started in 1997, so with 6degree. We then moved to LiveJournal, Friendster, we had LinkedIn, MySpace, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat. We can see this all goes through a timeline to 2011, having a significant amount of social media platforms available to us now. Social media has been deep rooted into our lives in general. So every day, people have many addictions to social media, and they struggle to actually put social media down as it becomes kind of like how newspapers were years ago. Social media becomes that way now, where people are always going on social media to see real time news and activity. But what makes it more addictive is that it's got people that we know that are the main focus of it rather than people and activities that we don't necessarily understand and know in our general life. So when we think of some of the cybersecurity issues in social media, and we look at some of the objectives of social media, so we've got the CIA triad, so confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So for integrity, this identities and users' data has to be protected from unauthorized intervention and modification. We've got availability, so the user's data has to be available for the owner at all times, and then confidentiality, so that third parties cannot have authorization to access all the user's information and actions via social media. So if we look at some of the main attacks that we would associate with social media, so we've got identity theft, so a stranger or hacker pretending to be a real user. So the hacker tries to control the profile of the targeted victim for further accessing the profiles of the victim's contacts. We've got spam attacks. So this is when hackers know about the victim's communication details and send spam or junk data via emails. We've got malware attacks, so where the hacker injects malware scripts into the actual user's account. We've got the civil attack, so an attacker based on fake profiles to damage some functions of their social media. So this can be used for distributing junk information or malware on the network. And then we have social phishing as well. So this is when a user tries to steal sensitive information from an actual user through a fake website that looks real and pretends to be an acquaintance of the real user. So looking at some more attacks, as we can see, there is a significant quantity of attacks that can be performed through social media. So we've got an impersonation attack. So this is where the hacker tries to create a fake profile, pretending to be someone connected to the target victim on social media. We've got hijacking. So the hacker has full control of the actual profile by cracking the login password. A fake request. So the hacker would create a fake profile to send a fake request to the targeted user. Image modification analysis. This is where the hacker would use facial and image recognition technology to trick their target, and the image provided would be linked to the target's profile. Ransomware attacks. So the hacker would gather data about the victims by encrypting the files of an infected computer, then holding the key to decrypt the files until the victim pays a ransom, or indeed actually not giving them the key once they paid the ransom, which is a big risk with ransomware. And then a botnet attack. So this can be an automated social media account that automatically creates posts and follows new accounts and new people whenever a specific term is mentioned. So, looking at some of the cybersecurity issues in social media, so we got hacking, internal use, and sales to external. So when we look at some of the concepts of hacking and motivations, we can see we've got identity theft, social phishing, spam attacks, so all the attacks that we mentioned, and then we look at some of the motivations around that. So we've got emotions, entertainment, financial gain, proficiency for jobs, hacktivism, cyber espionage, and cyber warfare. And these emotions range significantly. So, for example, if we look at the motivation, so if we look at, for example, emotions, this could be emotional instability, and it can have a lot of factors that go on around it, a lot of third party external factors as well. So it could be things like peer pressure, it could be things like feeling like you're not good enough and then trying to cause harm through that. You've got entertainment, so there's a significant amount of factors for motivations that can go with this. The other thing is, as well, as we've got ethical hacking versus unethical. So ethical hacking, or white hat hacking, is typically hacking that takes place through trying to patch vulnerabilities in systems and help out businesses, with adoption cases for securing their network, securing their social element, or securing their physical elements. So this could be social engineering attacks, for the physical. It could be SQL injection, SQL injection for the digital, and then it could be phishing attacks for, say, the social element. So there's a significant amount of motivations that go with these attacks as well. So if we look at them in some further detail, so for emotions, we've got infuriated users of social media can attempt to attack the social media to vent their anger, disappointment, or sense of revenge. Financial gains, this can be where hackers try to obtain other sensitive personal information, which can include bank accounts, and then maliciously access their accounts to exploit the financial resources that are there. So for example, if people have credit cards or debit cards or access to loans. Entertainment, so some hackers like to gain exciting experiences through hacking social media. So this could be, for example, distributing a large scale social engineering phishing attack just to see who would click on the link out of perhaps a large quantity of social media friends. Proficiency in jobs as well. So, while keeping the platform secure, it is the most crucial requirement that many social media firms hire hackers. And a lot of the time, people can also think that if they hack something, say for example, if they hack Facebook significantly, that they might have a job from Facebook at the end through demonstrating that sort of competency and technical skill set. We've also got hacktivism. So hacktivism is in computer networks, refers to hacking and target victims for political objectives. So this could be promoting free speech, human rights, information, ethics. Could be things around animal cruelty. Typically, it's attacking victims based on an agenda that they have. We've also got cyber espionage. So the main purpose is to steal confidential information. So this could be personal information without the owner's permission at the level of the individual organization, so competitors or national other countries. And then finally, we have cyber warfare as well, so where the hackers attempt to destroy government communications, financial stability, and other things, so that the government of another country would not function properly. So if we look at some of the negative consequences of social media that we focus on in the study, so we've got sexting. So this is a significant issue with social media, especially around what classes as child pornography. So for example, the age of consent, physical consent is 16 in the United Kingdom. However, if there is photos, sensitive photos under the age of 18, it is classed as child pornography. So this provides sexting with a significant challenge based on the fact that that the age of consent is 16 and the age of consent for images is 18. So this can cause confusion, and sometimes it can cause problems with not really understanding the age difference, and as well with the distribution of child pornography. So again, if someone under the age of 18 has an image or a video of someone else under the age of 18, and they send it to, say, for example, a friend, that is distributing child pornography. And even if they send it to someone they trust to ask advice, or even if they send it by accident, it is still distributing child pornography. So this can be a significant issue in social media, especially when a large scale of the people using it are people of a younger age, with very, very limited validation techniques in social media to provide strong security. We also have Facebook depression. So Facebook depression is very large in the media at the moment. It tends to focus on people seeing Facebook and the posts that people are putting on, and they only see the good side of life. So, for example, with social media, people tend to put on and advertise the positive things that go on in their life. So this could be things like weddings, proms, buying a new car, new house, graduating from university. But people don't see the negative, the balance of positive and negative in people's lives. So it's very easy for people to stay on Facebook and then start feeling depressed, Facebook depression, based on the fact that they're submerging themselves in sort of a false reality there. And we've seen this a lot with things like Photoshop, people modifying their photos, putting filters on, things like that, to be able to kind of you know um provide a different sort of image to what they would look like otherwise, to sort of modify that image in a way that is advantageous towards them, which could be in many ways in lighting and in color as well. Influence on advertisements and buying, and this is another issue as well, where social media, there are many ads, and it's how the data is being sold on. So, for example, you go online, you're looking at cars, then you go on Facebook, and then there's loads of advertisements about cars with the data, which has been sold on further. So, some of the main motivations for our study to produce this survey paper was that it is designed to help younger audiences have an awareness of the cyber threat landscape in social media, and we believe this is a very, very valuable and legitimate contribution, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around social media in terms of the digital footprint that we leave, and the consequences of actions on social media. So, for example, opening phishing emails, or like we said before, the sexting or the Facebook depression. I think social media is a very powerful tool, and we give quite a lot. I think a lot of people don't see it as a powerful tool. A lot of people see it as a sort of like a mirror, where it's more of a window. The paper will also help children defend themselves against the threat landscape and take precautionary steps in the beginning stages of multimedia use. So, for this motivation, we hope that younger people and children will sign up to social media, because it is a very good tool, but we hope that they will sign up to social media with some competency and knowledge behind them, that just because this is on social media doesn't detach from the real world and the real state of being. What you uh, put on social media and publish to the world is very much a window of what you want to put on, rather than a mirror for just you to see. So it's very, very important that we push this education, push this knowledge, and help younger people make smart and educated decisions based on the usage of social media and these multimedia platforms. So, when we look at the methods of protecting privacy and security online, so we've got a full understanding of the digital footprint, so the historical record of what we leave behind in our name associated with us. Use of appropriate privacy settings. So when you're setting up a Facebook account, an Instagram account, it's actually looking at the privacy settings, and again having that competency to make strategic decisions on what you want people to see, who can see it. Is it friends, friends of friends, strangers? And having that deep understanding of who we're giving that access to be able to view the social media profile. Also limiting personal data disclosure as well. One of the difficult things with social media is the aim of the game. To have a successful social media profile is to put as much information on there as possible, because that is what's going to make your social media profile more in depth, more interesting, and more appealing and attractive in that social media world. However, the personal information disclosure, one of the things that's actually going to do is create a higher cybersecurity risk. So, for example, this could be putting things like addresses, telephone numbers, email addresses, taking your profile picture or your cover photo in front of your house address, or even your street name, and things like that. So it's just about having that competency and thinking things through a bit further. Also, user mitigations to protect online privacy and security as well. So looking at ways that you can help, to protect yourself against these security risks. And it's not all cybersecurity, because cybersecurity can then link into physical security. So, for example, putting your address on demonstrates the cybersecurity, but then that leads into them taking that address, finding out where you live, and that can get into physical security as well. So it can actually intertwine further. So, when we look at some of the challenges and limitations that we found in the research, so the study focuses on the dangers and risks to children as a vulnerable application of social media, so the vulnerable use case. Therefore, examples and data in this area is very limited because of the lack of information that is released in case studies for children. The most prudent limitation of the research is that some social networking sites are significantly more established than others, and the sites that are more contemporary than others have not been around long enough to fully understand and appreciate the risks to young people, despite the fundamental principles in the technology of the kind. So, thus, continued investigations in the area are required when new data becomes more available. So, as social media innovates and emerges, and we get more platforms that allow more usability and more accessibility, we find that there'll be increasing attack vectors coming up in them platforms that can pose a cybersecurity risk and a physical security risk as well. So there are many ethical considerations around children's research in cybersecurity. So the research could have been expanded to explore specific children who were committed to cybercrimes mentioned, and their individual motivations behind the study, which could have been, of course, performed by a survey to these children. The cybersecurity has been one of the major concerns among technology users and even non-users concerned about their loved ones using the technology. But hacking has been prevalently occurring visibly and invisibly, and technology continues to evolve at an extremely fast pace, and human beings become insensitive to what is considered wrong at first. The cybersecurity issue deserves frequent and timely revisits, and this is something that could be performed further and more in detail in the future. So some management solutions. So being conscious of the digital footprint now you will leave when deciding what you want to present online under your name and your image. So this can be seen as an obvious focus. However, what can seem valid and innocent to yourself can be interpreted by other people. So this could be your sense of humor. Humor is very subjective, and so the wrong sort of humor can be perceived different by other people. Be mindful of the fact that when you delete content under your profile, it means it's deleted but not captured, as this means that someone can take an image of this and keep the content under your name. So, for example, screenshotting. So this can be seen. Say, for example, someone puts a political post, a very strong political post, then maybe the next day they delete it because they think, oh, that was actually quite bold to put on social media. I shouldn't really have publicized that. We can see that that can have significant issues with screenshotting and reposting in other places. So when joining a new social media platform, the first thing performed is the exploration of the privacy settings available to the users. So there's no exact science to the privacy settings that should be on. Of course, the more restricted you make it, typically the more security is going to follow with that. But also, it's about having that balance between making the social media site accessible and interesting to use in a way that is going to be good for you, but also provide that cyber and then into the physical security with that profile. And we also recommend being cautious about personal information you give the world from the profile. And this can be done by understanding exactly what the other users need to know from you. So, do they need to know your home address? Do they need to know your phone number? Do they need to see the new house that you've bought and the street name and where it is? And even things that people don't think about, such as, do they need to know where you're going on holiday and when? because sometimes when people put like they're going on holiday for, say, for example, 2 weeks, and they take a picture of them and their family or their friends, it shows that their house and everything is left there with no one attending it. And of course, that cybersecurity then goes into physical security going forward from that. So, for some conclusions, so social media has become a significant tool in our everyday lives. However, it has also suffered from concerning attacks from hackers who exploit the precious tool of social media. In the paper, we summarise various types of recent attacks, the motivation behind the attacks, behind the hackers, like the target victims, and how the target victims may mitigate such risk and the negative impacts on them in the early years of their life and social development. Future work can be directed to the methods that can improve the security system for reducing security threats, and this can be achieved by designing and assessing innovative social network security and teaching young people the risks of using social media at an early age. This paper was produced by our research team to produce this survey paper and make this available to you. We have some reasons to cite our paper, so we would like you to consider reading, sharing, and citing with friends, colleagues, collaborators, students, anyone who you think may benefit from reading the paper and understanding and maybe citing the paper in their own work as well. So, some of the top reasons to cite our paper is that the paper discusses contemporary issues described in social media around cybersecurity and the modern attacks and motivations linked to children and young people. In addition, it analyzes and highlights the dangers of the digital footprint. The paper summarizes recent statistics around cyber attacks directed at social media and provides original recommendations on cyber protection applied to younger users to help raise awareness and provide a guide to online safety in social media. Our paper can be found at the link below. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Lewis Golightly. I'm a lecturer in cybersecurity at Teesside University. If you do have any questions about the paper, please do get in touch. Thank you very much for listening.